the Dolphins coach is on the hot seat.
Yeah, to put that mildly. I mean, the seat is boiling as we speak. I'm surprised he might get it through halftime with the way things are going right now in Miami. ESPN.com did a big feature.
But I'm going to tell you this, 12.5 points against a division rival when things look like terrible for you, or like this is a trap game if you think, oh, yeah, they're going to get blown out by 25.
So you're saying just covering the spread will save his job?
Yeah, I'm not save his job, but I'm just saying for gamblers, you know what I mean? Something that looks so obvious sometimes just isn't. That's all.
So ESPN, as I was saying, did a full feature on these Miami Dolphins. And the point of it was apparently last season they had what they would call a culture problem in Miami, specifically as it relates to at least two of their on-the-record star players, one of them being Jalen Ramsey, who got traded. One of them was Tyreek Hill, who asked to be traded, but ultimately was not. And according to an anonymous player who was on that team, I don't think he's on this current team, he said that Dolphins players, specifically those two and other players on the team, had a, quote, lack of respect for Mike McDaniel. In fact, that player went on record as saying that McDaniel trying to be open and vulnerable and being a player's coach and allowing guys to come late and miss meetings or skip meetings and only get fined but never really get reprimanded in the media or reprimanded in front of the team, according to that player, was misconstrued as him being, quote, soft. So all the things he was doing when they were winning, no problem. They started losing. The walls are caving in on Mike McDaniel.
Big time. And to me, this is a couple of examples to me, Rob, of why coaching is not a one-size-fit-all thing, and I think he's learning the hard way. So when you're coaching these guys, first of all, Rob, if your team is set up with captains of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Ramsey, and those are, maybe three or four captains, you're in for a bad situation, and a couple of reasons why. Your captains are supposed to be the ones that set the tone, right? The guys who are there that are working their hardest. And when we read this report, they're not only are they maybe showing up to meetings a little late, okay, I can understand things happen. They're missing meetings or just flat out leaving meetings or leaving practice. You got multiple guys doing that. Tyreek Hill's the same guy that's sending out flirtations. I want to go back to Kansas City. I don't want to be here. Trade me. And these guys are supposed to be your leaders. And one of the things that when you're being a coach, you have to understand is I'm a manager of personalities. And I have to manage like this with this guy. I got to be hard on this guy. This guy works hard and all he needs is a pat on the back. This guy, I ain't got to say much because he's here to play. He's here to practice. He's here to perform. And you have to be, being able to manage those personalities. He came in being the cool guy, being the funny guy, and trying to be the player's coach. And it seems as though it's backfiring where they're treating him like little bruh. He's already a small guy. He's already young. And from this report, they're treating him like little bruh, ignoring him. They have no respect for him. And you know what makes it worse, Robin? We talk about this all the time. When he won 20 of his first 33 games and was making the postseason and putting a 70-piece on people's heads, it was all right. But now that he's losing and now that the team is struggling, they tune him out. They're not listening. And this is the challenge when you're trying to overly be a player-friendly coach. You got to set the tone first. You have to set the expectation first. You have to set the standard first. And then you can scale back. You can scale back then. And again, I think this is what's happening. He's getting backfired on trying to be too cool, trying to be too hip, coming in wearing, look at me, look at that. And now that they're losing, and because they don't have the respect for him, this is what he's dealing with. And he might ultimately lose his job here. We were just talking about Deshaun Foster. He might be in the same situation, whether it be today or over the next game or two.
Here's my only issue, and I just think this is what happens. It's easy to throw arrows once things go bad. And he was a younger, hipper coach. This is why they thought. So now you're saying basically he was getting credit for being able to relate to younger players because he's younger and not a 65-year-old man set in his ways, and it was working. Now, I'm not saying he's a great coach or any of that. But now to use that against him after he did have success, and he did have a 70-piece at one point, and they would call him a boy genius, it's easy for people to, when things go bad, that's when people come out of the woodworks, and now they're going to point out all the flaws and everything. It just comes with the territory. I don't think that means that he's not the same guy or his style doesn't work or – if you're winning and you're doing that, winning covers up everything. It's like makeup. I say it all the time. If you win, you can get away with everything. right? You get away with calling people out and being gruff and all that. Bill Belichick did it, right? And as soon as things didn't go that way, they're tuning him out. He's been around too long. Or Greg Popovich, same thing. When he was winning in those championships. But yeah, now he's old, and people are tired of hearing Pop, and he's outdated. Do you see what I'm saying? Like it's the same guy, just things change. And so I don't know if I could put it all on McDaniel and say that it's his fault or he's the one or he's the reason, and I'm not absolving him. Not at all, because that's how you judge. We talk about all the time, wins and losses. That's how you judge it, whether it's your fault or not. When players perform, right, you get credit for that. And when they don't perform, you get blamed. It's the same way. If I'm going to give you a new contract because you won 20 of your first 33 games, right, and the players performed and did what you asked them to do, then I'm gonna have to let you go when you lose your 10 of your last 13 and you look bad doing it.
Here's where I understand what you're saying, but the challenge I have is one of the things that I think you have to come in there and do is one thing that's factual to me in anything is set accountability. When you read this report, is that guys have been running amok from day one. It's just they were talented. Tyreek Hill comes straight off the I want to prove everybody wrong. Kansas City doesn't want to sign me. Remember, he talked, Tua is better than Patrick Mahomes, and he's going crazy with the offense and the receiving yards and all of that. So it looks good. But the problem is when you don't have accountability, when you're not holding those leaders to those standards, and maybe that's some GM too. They're calling for Grier to be.
But you also
they're
talked
flying.
About,
They're flying real quick. They're flying airplanes around that have fired Grier as well, the general manager. So maybe he brought in the wrong guys coupled with this, so he's not absolved of this as well. But go ahead. What were you going to say?
But you talked about team captain. Most of the time, those are voted on by players. The players didn't vote Tyreek Hill team captain. That's usually the locker room and the players, not the coach. I'm saying the coach has to hold those players. I can't have my star player. When you read this, I can't have my star players, Rob, leaving practice, not showing up to meetings. And Tyreek Hill even admitted it. He said, well, I'm on time this year. I ain't missed no practice this year. I've been on time and everything this year. Yeah, well, you're creating a toxic culture where guys aren't taking it serious. We always talk about this. The best of the best. If I'm a middling player and I see Lamar Jackson is the first two here practicing harder, watching film, I'm like, oh, shoot, if Lamar doing it, I know I got to do it. We already know the late, great Kobe Bryant. They're setting a standard. And if you're letting guys, the prisoners run the asylum, run the prison, then this is what you get, toxicity, and it ends up happening. We've seen where they just had a players-only meeting after week one, Rob. You know it's all bad. You know things aren't good. When after week one, anybody So what would you say about a guy like Pop or somebody like that before he stepped down? Pop hadn't won in like 10 years or whatever, and people were saying,
just bring up. I hope you said Mop with an M, not Pop.
My point is,
I hope you said Cop.
Is that it's easy to say that after when things go bad. I'm just saying winning changes the way you look at stuff. No, and I'm going to give you Terry Francona in Boston. They won World Series, and then all of a sudden they became the chicken and biscuits guys and drinking beer and all that in the clubhouse, right? And then Terry wound up getting fired, and he was running a loose ship. No, he was running a loose ship with the chicken and the biscuits in a video game when they were winning championships too.
I ain't gonna lie, chicken and biscuits sound good.
No, but once they started losing, then all of a sudden that ain't cool, and that's all my point is. I'm not trying to make it out. He's a great coach.
Let me go back to your Pop.
Sure.
You brought up Pop, and I think the difference is Pop, we know what the Spurs way was. We all know what that is. You brought up Bill Belichick, the Patriots way. You look at Sean McVay. Sean McVay has proven, whether it's Jared Goff, whether it's Matthew Stafford, I've been around that organization a little bit. They have a way about them. And that's the thing. You have to create some type of systematic way, some type of culture and expectancy. And I think Mike McDaniel does not have that right now. And you can't have it where your players don't, but like,
I just think I'm just going to be when you have unnamed people talking about respect and all this stuff, I'm just saying it's easy to say that when you lose. That's all I'm saying. Like, be careful not to take that stuff as gospel because things have turned bad. And when you lose, this is what people do.
Here's the evidence to it.
That's my only point.
Here's the evidence to it.
If they beat Buffalo tonight, then what would be your – like, say they beat Buffalo. Okay, they turn their season around. Then what has happened? Have they got respect for him now? I'm just saying.
No,
if they win tonight, then it would be what? Oh, they just won? Or
So here's the thing, though. The evidence is in the reason why they traded Jalen Ramsey. They got rid of him because according to the former players, former coaches, former people within the organization, he was toxic to that locker room. The reason why they stripped Tyreek Hill of being a captain, toxic to that locker room. The reason why they had to have a players-only meeting after game one. So we have evidence. This isn't just losing. Andy Reid could end up going 6-11 this season, and none of us would necessarily question that. You can have other teams that you're not going to win every year. Winning that's not it. But you can't be bad.
I'm just saying.
And there'll be questions about how you
my
run
only
it.
argument to you is I think it's very easy to just point out stuff once you start losing. That's all. That's all. I think you got to be very careful with that. It's an easy way out for the players to not take accountability or blame that they haven't played up to expectations. It's easy to point to one guy rather than to look around the room. And that's all I'm saying. I'm not Mike McDaniel doesn't do anything for me in a positive way or a negative way. I don't think he's the greatest coach since sliced bread. But I can tell you this. Players do this all the time. As somebody who's covered sports for a long time, it's to take the blame away from them. That's all. It's the coach. Oh, yeah, he doesn't do this. He doesn't do that. No, maybe you don't tackle right. Maybe you don't catch third down throws. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like there's a responsibility that comes from the players as well.
I hear that, and I don't disagree with that, but I definitely think it's his responsibility to call them out about that. And that's another thing they talk about is that he never did that. He only fined them, and they all used to laugh at the fines that he would post up about guys who were late, guys who weren't doing this, guys who weren't doing that. All right, Rob, so they're watching us right now, which means another thing they can do is what?
They can subscribe. All you got to do is hit that button, subscribe to The Odd Couple for some of the best sports talk content in the nation.
Facts, and while you're at it, they can like, they can comment, they can share, do all that for us. We appreciate it. Just do all that right up in here.